Can y'all actually see the presentation?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah, yesterday I struggled, so I just wanted to make sure.
It looks good.
Okay, great. So good evening, everyone. My name is Doreen Hatcher. I'm the Director of Student Transition and Engagement Programs here at Cal State Channel Islands. And I've been at CI for about 3.5 years. I have not never been a transfer student, but my experience coming to CI felt like a transfer student. I used to work at Cal State San Bernardino, and I started here on a Thursday, and then Monday was transfer orientation. So I feel like I went right into that process. For those of you who may not have attended the STEP presentation yesterday, STEP stands for Student Transition and Engagement Programs. We oversee new student orientation, veterans affairs, clubs and organizations, and our first STEP summer transition program. And today I have just a short presentation. So either we're going to have lots of dialogue and questions to answer, or y'all may get to take another break, but just to talk to you about our commuter and transfer resources. One of the reasons why commuters and transfers are put together is because 75% of our student population or thereabouts are commuter students, and most of our transfer students are commuters. And so we want to do things to welcome the transfer students as they come in their first semester, but it makes sense for them to be grouped with commuter students because that's who they are going to be. They're going to be juniors or seniors, however they transfer in. So that's it. That's a very important distinction that we make in STEP. So first off, for transfer students, new transfer students, we do have a Canvas community, and it is commuter and transfer community. And so what'll happen in sometime next month, all new transfer students will be invited to join this community. It's not a class, so a lot of students get confused about that, but it is an opportunity for you to be in community virtually with other students. So for our new transfer students, we'll be able to continue to answer questions for you, help provide some workshops, help get you ready for orientation, which takes place in July. And when that's over, we'll still be able to help facilitate questions that you may have. Last year, what we did with the community is the transfer students got in right after orientation. They had their schedules, and they started talking to each other about building study groups. They started finding out who's in which classes. Then I had a few prompts, so they started talking to each other, finding out what areas somebody lived, what majors someone had, what were their hobbies. So they were connecting virtually, and that's really, really important. There'll also be some academic connections that you can make as well. We'll be inviting other campus partners into the community, and we'll also have engagement opportunities. There are some things that we will plan, but the whole point of it is for y'all to also connect and connect with each other. So last year we had a student who was very interested in having movie nights. Some of them went off and created their own Discord channels so they could talk offline and do other things together. And what I'm hoping that we can morph into going to the commuter activities is be able to do some in-person things. Recognizing that y'all may be commuting, that doesn't always mean having you come to campus. I'm very, very hypersensitive to that. One of the things that I don't want to say loved about the pandemic, but one of the things that I really appreciated about us being virtual is that it really highlighted the needs of our commuter students, many of which were able to participate in other things because you didn't have to worry about driving to campus. You didn't have to worry about finding parking spaces or paying for a day pass. You didn't have to worry about finding childcare or someone else to take care of your parents or whomever you may be providing care for. Some students were doing activities in their car, like right after work or when they had a break. So what I'm hoping that we move forward to is that we're going to continue to use these virtual spaces as an extension of the campus, hopefully provide some extra hours. I was able to meet with students after 5 o'clock. Some clubs and orgs were able to meet as well. And then I'm also hoping, I'm skipping ahead to off-campus events, but one of the big changes that we will be making is helping to facilitate events for y'all to do in different spaces off campus. So again, you don't always have to come to campus to be engaged. For me, you're taking classes, and then also being mindful of the times that we are having events. Does it make sense to have an event at noon when you are in classes because you're commuting and you don't have the luxury of having extra space between your classes? Does it make sense to do an event only once a week when you only on a Wednesday, but you come to campus on Tuesday, Thursday, or vice versa? If we were to do something on Thursday and you come on Monday, Wednesday. So really doing a lot of data assessment to find out what's going to be the best way to help commuters really find community with the campus that doesn't always meet on the campus. So what we've done in the past, we've done parking lot advising in connection with our academic advising department, where we have set up tents out in some of the remote parking lots, so that if you just had a quick question or you wanted to set up an advising appointment, that was available. We've also done commuter appreciation activities where we'll have coffee and snacks set up. So as you're going back and forth from your car to class or whatever early in the morning, and maybe you forgot to grab something to eat, we'll have those set up for you. We've done that before. I mentioned virtual events. I mentioned the off-campus events. What I didn't mention were a couple of things that's not on the slide. We do have a transfer student honor society. It's called Tau Sigma. So you may be hearing about that after your first semester. And that's another opportunity to recognize the work that you did before you got to Channel Islands. It's a lifetime membership. So regardless of what happens while you're at CI, grade-wise or GPA-wise, you'll still be in the Honor Society and have some additional support there. And then we also have a National Transfer Student Week that I believe takes place in October. And for the first time, we're also going to be doing Commuter Appreciation Week at the same time. Like I said, there's a lot of overlap within these populations. And so we want to just make sure we're providing as many services as possible. Last year, I was the primary contact in STEP with commuter students. I'm the one who facilitates the Canvas community. So I was the main one that was, fielding questions from students, providing opportunities for y'all to connect. Y'all, I mean, you're not here yet, but the students back then, opportunities for them to connect. So I anticipate doing that again. So, again, my name is Doreen Hatcher. And let's see, do we have there should be another page here. There we go, questions. So it's easy to reach any of the STEP team at step@csuci.edu or visit our csuci.edu/step page. But right now, like I said, I told you it was short and sweet. So does anybody have any specific questions about commuting or getting to campus?
We do have a couple questions, Doreen. The first one is, can you by chance share what GPA you need to have to join the Transfer Honor Society that you mentioned?
That's a very good question, which I don't have off the top of my head. I know that they have been making some changes. Usually honor societies are about like 3.4, 3.5. I want to say it's a 3.0, but that's information it's available. If anybody, I can put that up in I can put it up in the chat when I'm done, so you can go to the website to get more information. And like I said, there's another honor society that I advise for freshmen, first-time. I'm going to say first-time freshmen. It's been expanded for a few semesters now, but it's the same thing. You did really well in high school, and that was my story. I was a great student in high school. I come to college and I went to a huge university. And so adjusting to large classroom spaces and just the rigor of being at that type of institution back then without the internet, it was challenging. And so my GPA never got back up to a point where I could be in an honor society. I started out with a really high GPA, but I never was able to recover. So these organizations are to help acknowledge the work that you did at your previous institution, whether it was a community college, another four-year institution, or even in high school. But yes, I'll put information about Tau Sigma in the chat. I thought that stood for transfer student, but it doesn't. So I'll include that in, but that's how I remember it. I'll include it in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. I look forward to learning more from that. I do have another question. I'm just gonna go ahead and read it out loud. As a quote unquote mature transfer student, I've experienced alienation and marginalization at my current college by the younger student body. Ooh. Does the STEP offer anything for students such as myself, or is MPC my only resource?
No, Javier, I tried last year to really engage the quote unquote mature student, including myself, as I'm finishing up a program right now. And there were a few students who expressed an interest, but I don't know if they just didn't want to single themselves out or what it was, but that is something I keep trying to do. And yes, I would love to work with you when you come to campus so that we can do that. I tried to make a comment or tried to get people who were born before 1980. And there seemed to be some interest, but it was hard getting, a group of people together to say, yeah, I see you, Caesar. I can see your face. Why are you making faces like that?
Oh no, sorry. No.
I said 1980 and he was like, oh my God, that's old.
No.
Anyways, I'm just playing with you. See, I got to do stuff since we're virtual, right? So this is how I work my crowd. But yes, I'd be very happy, Javier, to work with you. That you're not the only student, and you'd be surprised too. My kids are old souls, so they would probably enjoy being with some older students and not always with the traditional age group of peers. Oh, I see Ginger's answering about MDC. That stands for Multicultural Dream Center. And I'm not quite sure. Yes. Well, you're actually going to be able to connect with me, Javier, this summer. And that might give us even more time for us to coordinate a little bit more activities, especially in person. And this is something I want to do. I want to encourage our commuters and commuters in particular to say, hey, there's this free concert in the park in Camarillo. Who wants to meet me at the park at this time? And then let's go together. Let's go over to this pizza place. Let's do this, let's do that. And that doesn't require any formal requests. It's just trying to make connections where you are. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Doreen. And then just to kind of quickly explain, I am juggling different things behind the scenes. So
I know
my
you
face
are. I'm
might
sorry.
have been from something else. It was
I know what you're doing, and you and I have not connected. So I'm sorry. That wasn't fair for me to throw you off like that.
No, I love it.
But I'm pulling up the Tau Sigma information in case another question pops up.
Sweet. I do have one question for you though while we wait for more questions to roll in. What have you found that the transfer students appreciate about the commuter services? That's been most of the feedback you're hearing from our transfer population.
That's been a little tricky. My whole philosophy with transfer students are one, this is how you come into the university, and at some point, you're a junior, you're a Dolphin, and my hope is that you will actually start to shed that identity as a transfer student, and then that's why you're grouped with the commuter students. Of course, if you live on campus, then you're with housing and they provide programming too, but that's a way to make that connection. The first semester is really about, welcoming you to CI and helping you get acclimated into our campus. And so I encourage new transfer students to reach out and ask questions. If I don't know the answer, I know how to find the answer for you. find out the right person to talk to. And so that's what we've been, trying to do. There's other resources on campus, and I don't want to knock, definitely not trying to knock those resources that are really, they do more. So our job in First Steps is just to help welcome you to campus, help provide some resources in this community, but you're also going to be connected in the fall with an academic advisor or a mentor or peer group from other spaces on campus. But I will always still continue to be that first point of contact from when you came on campus. I do have some students that still reach out to me now saying, oh, and then you also don't know what you know, or I'm sorry, you don't know what you don't know until you find out that you need to know. So we try to provide a lot of opportunities for transfer students as they're coming in the first process, but then it might be the second semester or the third semester, and they're like, oh, well, I didn't know about this, or I forgot about this. So you can always hit me up and I'll help you, figure that out. But I think that having, especially last year, that was the first time that we did the community. And I think it made a really big difference with having the students connect with each other, especially since we were virtual. But that was my plan all along. And so that's what we're going to continue to do, provide that virtual introduction to other students so that they can continue to make those connections on their own time and in their own ways.
Awesome. So I'm a former transfer student myself, actually, and an alumni at
Thank you
CSUCI
for saying
Islands.
former transfer student. Go Dolphins.
And a commuter. So
Yes.
all these services, God, I remember them. I remember just loving it, the support, and having a go-to place, because sometimes we don't think there is. And just when I found out about all of that, I was like, oh my God, awesome. So it just encourages more. And I don't know if you've talked about this yet. I know you mentioned there's some events on campus, but I remember Commuter Appreciation Week or First Tuesdays food truck, massage days. Can you talk a little bit more about those cool events for commuters?
Yes, we had an awesome team member, Jeremy Booker, who is a former Dolphin as well, who was really creating these type of events for our commuter population. And again, everybody benefited from it, and those were really cool. So hopefully we can bring those back. The Tuesday food trucks, for those of you who may not be familiar with that, it was just once a month we had a food truck that came to campus, and students who lived on campus also frequented the food truck. So my thing is, yes, that's great, but I would love to do something else where there's a food truck on Saturday for Saturday classes, or the food truck is here in the evening for our evening classes. So I'm working on trying to provide more opportunities for commuter students, because you're not always on campus between 9 to 5 when most of our services and programs take place during the day. And I was also going to say too, the good thing about the campus community is that a lot of times flyers are posted all over campus, but if you don't go into a certain building, you're not going to know that this event is going on. Or if you, we also made some changes to CI Sync, so hopefully we'll be able to get more information out to more students. That's our student engagement portal that we use on campus, but it's trying to get out as much information as possible so that you also can make the choice of whether you want to participate or not, instead of, well, I didn't know about this event. It's too late, I can't go. So yeah, that's part of what we're trying to do. Just provide as much information and resources for students as possible. I don't know if we're going to be able to do as much of the food trucks and stuff. Like I said, it's a whole new world now, but I would love to do something like that. Like I said, on the weekend, or, just say, hey, everybody, let's go to, what is it? The Camarillo Ranch. Food trucks are already set up there.
Nice and easy. All set up. I know we have Transfer Summit events as well. We just had one recently in February.
We did. And so the hope is moving forward that we might be able to consolidate some of these programs so that we can really help students in that first semester, because that's the bulk of when we have our transfer students. but then still provide some activities in the spring too. National Transfer Student Week is in the fall. So we're already trying to work on that. If there's any students who are parents, we're also working on trying to get that information so that we can provide opportunities and events for parents as well. I worked at another campus where we planned events like on a Saturday afternoon so that you didn't have to worry about trying to get a babysitter. Now you can do Netflix parties, you can do Zoom parties. We did have an intentional Zoom event for students with parents. And it was kind of cool because you didn't have to worry about trying to keep your child entertained, because that was the whole point of the event. You were, doing something with your child. So
I think one of the things that I enjoyed for obvious reasons, I remember you had little stations in parking lots and offered a donut and coffee, which is, for our college students, it's, the best. I know things are going to be probably different in the fall. Do you hope to maybe offer those same kind of nice pop-up, stations to, welcome our commuter students, or, stop for a quick hello? How do you think that will look like this semester?
One of the things that we learned, and I've been speaking with other colleagues at other campuses, is more of about a grab and go. And so it might be that you just grab a bag and keep going. Some of the students, believe it or not, either they were in too much of a hurry to stop and grab a donut or grab coffee or pastry or whatever we had, or they were in a hurry because they were coming back from class and they had to get to their car. So those are the things that I'm talking about, that those are really great events, but was that the right time for it? Do we need to do it earlier? Do we need to do it more into the parking lot and not on the bridge? So those are the things that we're using some data and assessment to see if it's still something to do. We might do something in the evening if students are leaving campus and going to work, or they didn't get dinner because they were back to back classes, and then now they're trying to leave. So I think we're going to be doing a lot of grab and goes, and some other colleagues have called them make and take. So I'm sorry, take and make. So having some activities that are already packaged for students to just grab it, and then they can go and make or create whatever it is. They can do it as a little group, or they can do it at home. But those are some of the things, right? The pandemic has forced everybody to kind of think about congregating a little bit differently. So we're even trying to, figure out space on campus and what that's going to look like. I hope and pray that we can go back to doing a lot more in-person activities. But again, know that our goal is to make sure we're doing as many activities for commuter students as we can. And that might mean doing it out in the community. It might mean doing more virtual events or setting up meetups that aren't on campus to help accommodate students. One of the things I think about too is the bus. That's another, not everybody has a car. So if we have a certain event, it has to be in line with the bus schedule to make sure that students are going to, not miss a bus and have to call an Uber because we went, too far into the evening. Or it's on a Saturday and the buses are slow. So it's a lot to, think about for commuters. It's not just that you're going to come in and go. We want to make sure that, that there are other opportunities. I will say to Jeremy very quickly, and check the time. When Jeremy was with us, some of the projects that he started, I plan to pick up again. So we were looking at, lockers for commuter students or some kind of space where you could put big bags or find a way to leave your items in a certain area while you're going back and forth to class instead of going back and forth to your car. We were trying to have some buildings open up or designated spaces open up early so that if you got here before 8 o'clock or 7 or whatever time it is, because of your commute, you would still be able to find a safe space to go to on campus instead of just sitting in your car. So there's some of those things, finding common seating. I believe the campus has boosted the Wi-Fi so that there's stronger signals out in the parking lots and so on and so forth. So a lot of that comes from commuter student feedback.
Thank you, Doreen. One more question before we end it.
Yes, is that for Michael?
Yes. How often does CI have
Okay.
events for parent students? Michael's really looking forward to those.
So Michael, I'm glad you brought that up. We're really trying to identify our parent students or student parents because there's no other information. I mean, we know where you came from, we know what your transfer GPA is, we, know where you live, so on and so forth, but we don't have anything that tells us that you're the proud parent of a student. And then nowadays, some students are taking care of parents, or taking care of little brothers and sisters, cousins, nieces and nephews. So that's the same thing. So we're really going to be working on trying to collect that data. So when we get you into the transfer commuter community this summer, we're going to start asking those questions so that we can plan to have more events and make our campus more family friendly. We don't have a childcare center on campus that is sponsored by the university or run by the university. So that makes it a little bit more challenging as opposed to other campuses where you see, kids walking back and forth with their student parents, or there's these events. But that is something on the horizon that hopefully we will change and have some activities next spring.